Hey everybody, my name is Jeff Deck. I'm an alcoholic and my sobriety date is June 14, 2013. I also have a sponsor and I sponsor other men, and I am in the middle of my 12-step program, Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm not going to try and sell y'all on Alcoholics Anonymous here because that's not what it's about. It's attraction rather than promotion, correct? However, I am going to try and sell you on recovery in general because although I believe Alcoholics Anonymous is the most effective way to stay clean and sober, we also have Narcotics Anonymous. We have Smart Recovery, Dharma Buddhist Recovery, not Jeffrey Dahmer, but it's called Dharma Recovery. We got Celebrate Recovery. I mean, every one of these programs has successful people staying clean and sober. What I am going to say is, though, if you're anything like me, if you know that you're an alcoholic or an addict or both, like me, I'm both. Alcohol is my drug of choice. I start drinking, I'm a trash can. You give me it, I'm going to take it. But if you know that you're an alcoholic or an addict, choose something and just do what they do. Okay, I've got the 12 and 12 in front of me. I've got the big book in front of me. This is How to Be Alcoholic, a clean and sober podcast. My partner, Elizabeth, gave birth to a baby, just experienced a tragic loss. So our podcast has been on hold. So until then, I'm going to be doing it by myself until she's ready to come back. Now, we're not putting this on Spotify because the bottom line is, I don't know how, and I ain't got the time to figure out how to do it with the computer and laptop. That was all Elizabeth. So what I did was I created a YouTube channel, and this will be our first episode on YouTube. And I'm doing it in my home. Okay, so you got to bear with me. I hope the sound comes out right. And why not start with trying to sell people or talk to y'all about why 12-step programs or any kind of recovery program now works. It's 2025. This is not the 30s, the late 30s anymore. There's more than one thing that works. Again, though, however, my experience is in Alcoholics Anonymous, okay? So what I would like to do is ask y'all a question, and I'll give you a second to think about it. But before that, let's think about Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm not going to get into the Oxford group and all that stuff. I am going to say, though, is that Bill Wilson, founder, gets sober in December 1934, okay? Dr. Bob gets sober in June of 1935. So those are two. Those two men find another guy, that's three. Those three guys become 6, become 9, become 18, become 36, become 72, okay? And the numbers keep doubling up, all right? Now, when I got here and I heard y'all talking about, oh, this works, work these 12 steps, God, I was like, stop it. Y'all are a cult. There's no way this works. This is a bunch of shit talking, right? Believe me, I know how to talk shit. I'm from up north and I live in Jacksonville, Florida now, all right? I don't want to hear you tell me how it works. I want you to show me how it works. And how are you going to show me how to work? How it works? Because I just want to drink. I just want to use. You have to show me. And somebody said, son, you got to go get your big book. That big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And the solution is in the first 164 pages, including the doctor's opinion. That's right. There is a chapter before chapter 1. It's called the doctor's opinion. But what this person told me was, I also want you to read the forwards before anything else. Now, my dumbass didn't do any of that, okay? Because I still wasn't convinced. However, down the road there, when I had my spiritual awakening, or on the way to my spiritual awakening, I actually got into this big book and I actually started reading the forwards. All right. And I wish I would have done that a long time ago. So if you're new, and if you ain't new and you've never read the forwards, I want y'all to think about this. Okay. Remember, Dr. Bob is sober in June of 1935 after Bill was sober in December of 1934. This big book gets written and shipped around the United States in 1939. So that's where the forward to the first edition comes about. And I'm going to read it to y'all right here, okay? It says, we of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. Stop. That's all I'm going to read out of the forward to the first edition because there's a number there. This is a fact. I needed to be shown facts when I got to Alcoholics Anonymous. Again, don't tell me that it works. Show me that it works. Okay? And not that I believe everything that's in every single book, but thank God for technology, we could go back and research this stuff. And trust me, I looked into it, right? So I'm going to stop there with the forward edition in 1939. Okay? More than 100 men and women. 1939. The key word is 100. The key number is 100. Now, before Bill and Bob Get Sober, before those 100 or more than 100 get into this big book in 1939, here's the question I said I was going to ask you. What did they do to people like me? Before that. Now, take a second. Start thinking about in your head or yell it out loud what they did to people like us. I'm sure somebody out there said, put us in jail. Which includes throw us in that drunk tank, right? Drunk tank overnight, throw us in there. We've all seen the movies. We've all seen the Prohibition movies, all that crap. You still thinking? Rehabs, detoxes, that includes, that's pretty much in what I see as institutions, right? They locked us up in these institutions, these sanitariums. They didn't know what to do with people like me. Why does Jeff keep drinking? You know, well, Jeff has a good job. Jeff has the wife. Jeff has a kid. You know, Jeff has everything going for him. He took some time off. Now he's back and he drinks again. What are we going to do with Jeff? You know, so they locked me up. Do you know that and again, research it, it's true. They did shock treatments to us. They even did lobotomies to people like me. Lobotomies, okay? And believe me, I researched this. And they talk about what part of the brain they were trying to analyze and figure out for alcoholics like me. Isn't that insanity? I mean, alcohol's insanity, but this is insanity too. We're not even 100 years into the first 12-step program that has produced millions upon millions. Again, I'm just talking shit right now. Wait until I get to the facts that are written in the book. Millions and millions of recovered people like me, just for today, okay? We're not even 100 years into it, and they were doing lobotomies on us, on my brain, okay? So we got those 100 people, 1939, right? So now we're going to go to the forward to the second edition. And in the forward to the second edition of the big book, it says 1955. For all you math geniuses out there, that's only 16 years after the forward to the first edition, okay? Remember that the key number and word was 100, a little more than 100. Now we're 16 years later. Here we go. Alcoholics Anonymous has mushroomed. That's a funny word they use there, right? I've taken shrooms. Smoke shrooms too. Cap stems, you name them. Put them in the blunts, roll them up, White House Dutchies. Anyway, I'm getting off the chart here. Okay. Mushroomed into nearly 6,000 groups. 6,000 groups. Remember, there was only a little over 100 16 years ago. Okay? 6,000 groups whose membership is far above 150,000 recovered alcoholics. Over 150,000. So we go from a little more than 100 in 1939 to over 150,000 recovered, just for today, alcoholics. 16 years later. Again, these are facts. I'm showing it to you. I'm not talking shit. Again, I wish I would have read this and researched it when I first got sober. I probably would have gotten into the big book. I definitely would have a lot earlier. Okay, but it doesn't stop there because we're only in 1955. And as you know, there's been 4 editions. I believe there's another one coming out soon. Can't wait to see that one. So now we're going to go to the 3rd edition. It's a couple of pages later. Now we're on the 3rd edition. We're in March of 1976. We were just in 1955, so that's 20 years afterwards. Okay? I'm sorry, that's 21 years afterwards. 16 years was edition 2 after edition 1. So 21 and 16 is only 37 years. So we went from a little over 100 to 16 years later to over 150,000 of us to over 6,000 groups after that first little one-on-one encounter. And now we're in 1976. Guess what? Estimated at more than 1 million people of Alcoholics Anonymous with almost 28,000 meetings in over 90 countries. Not just the United States of America. Over 90 countries. This is 1976. There was only a little over 100 in 1939. It's 37 years later. Again, I'll keep repeating myself, facts. That's what these kids say today, right? Facts. I don't even think they spell that shit right. They're like F-A-C-T-Z or some shit. It's F-A-C-T-S, okay? Facts. Again, it doesn't stop there because now we're going to move to the fourth edition of the big book, forward to the fourth edition, 2001, okay? So 1939 is the first. Now in 2001, that's 62 years later. Remember, there was 100. Now this shit's going to blow your mind. Here we go. Since the third edition was published in 1976, worldwide membership of AA has just about doubled to an estimated 2 million or more, with nearly 100,800 groups meeting in approximately 150 countries around the world. I'm going to read it again. And this is 2001. This is 24 years ago. I can't wait for the forward to the fifth edition. Can you even imagine? So here it is, the last one in the big book, 2001. AA has just about doubled to an estimated 2 million or more, with nearly 100,800 groups meeting in approximately 150 countries around the world. Facts. Don't tell me this shit don't work, okay? Here is the proof, all right? Narcotics Anonymous works. It came off of Alcoholics Anonymous. I think the only word that's different is like alcohol and addiction in step one anyway, you know? I've seen people stay clean and sober working a program of SMART recovery. I've seen people stay clean and sober working a program of Dharma recovery, of Celebrate recovery, of just going to church. But these people who are doing that are staying clean and sober because they're doing what the people before them who are staying clean and sober have done. Now, here's the great news. If you're in Jacksonville, Florida with me, holy shit, Alcoholics Anonymous is huge. They got that meeting guide with the picture of the chair. Go on there. There's about 60 to 70 meetings a day. That doesn't even include Zoom, man. And, you know, Zoom is the best thing, in my opinion, that came out of COVID for somebody like me. You know, I have no excuse. So when I got clean and sober here in Jacksonville, Florida, yeah, I went to NA, and NA is fucking cool as shit. Go to NA too, especially if you're dually addicted, you know. I do Alcoholics Anonymous. There's more meetings. I'll tell you this, if there was 70 meetings of Narcotics Anonymous and only 5 or 6 a day of Alcoholics Anonymous, I'd be doing Narcotics Anonymous because I take my disease that seriously. I need as much help, as much support, as much of the solution as I could get because I'm willing to go to any lengths. I need to be around you. Okay? I need you. You know, I've been working in recovery now for almost 10 years. If you're watching this on YouTube, TikTok, okay? Those of you on Facebook, you know that. Almost 10 years out of my 12 years sober. Okay? And one of my stops was Lakeview Health in Jacksonville, Florida, rehab. I worked for the Stepping Stone branch, but I went back and forth to both. They're both owned by the same people. And I was an alumni coordinator, and we had this patient. And one of the things I would do, like a day or two before the patient left, they're about to become an alumni, I would give them all kinds of swag and shit, like a shirt. But I would bring them in my office and I would talk to them. I would ask, you know, because as alumni coordinators, you know, we would call and contact them however they wanted to, either a phone call, email, text message, at certain dates and time, you know, 24 hours, 48 hours, 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. And just to make sure that, to show them, hey man, we care about you. How are you doing? Do you need help? And I would ask them, hey, so what area are you from? Are you even from Jacksonville? Are you from Idaho, California? I don't know. Are you from a different country? Let me know. I can look up the meetings that you want to go to. What program are you planning to work on? Because you need to have a plan when you leave in rehab. And that's what somebody like me was helping the patients do. I brought in this woman, and she told me she was from Dubai. That's right, Dubai. I said, what program of recovery do you plan on working? She goes, oh, I'm going to work Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm an alcoholic. I don't do drugs. I said, okay, cool. So I get online and I'm looking for meetings in Dubai. You know, there was like maybe only 1 or 2 meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous in Dubai. That's it. I said, hold on a second. I start Googling Narcotics Anonymous meetings in Dubai. And guess what? There was about 15 to 20 narcotics meetings in Dubai every day. In other words, they getting high in Dubai. You know what I'm talking about? Okay? So if I lived in Dubai, those are the meetings I'm going to go to because I need more of you. I need more of this. I need more of the 12 and 12. I need more of the Narcotics Anonymous book, the Daily Reflections, 24-hour day. I need more meetings. I need more sponsorship. I need more sponsees. I need to help more people. And sobriety looks different over time. You know, I need to be there for the newcomer, even if I'm only 1 hour sober. That person who walks in after me, I need to be there and greet them and put out my hand and say hello. Okay? So with this being my first solo podcast, again, it's attraction, not promotion. I ain't trying to sell you shit because I don't need to sell you anything when these are the facts. The facts. And if you don't believe me, research it yourself. I want to thank you all for joining me for this first solo podcast I did for how to be alcoholic. And by the way, if you don't understand why the name of me and Elizabeth's podcast is How to Be an Alcoholic, it's a play on words because I could be alcoholic today even if I'm not drinking. I guess that's the second part of step 1. My life is unmanageable if I'm drinking and if I'm not drinking. So therefore I need help. And that's where steps 2 and 3 come into place. Anyway, y'all, if nobody told you they love you today, I do. Goodbye.